Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamritamsha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome back to the Sri Harinam Chintamani series every Saturday and Sunday. Today we are discussing the last few verses of the 15th chapter, which will end the discussion on Sri Harinam Chintamani. In the last chapter of the Prayojan, how through the path of Raganuga Bhakti, one goes through these 5 dashas, Shravan Dasha, Varan Dasha, Smaran Dasha, Apan Dasha, and Sampati Dasha, and ultimately attains perfection. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has quite in detail spoken about it. And what is this Ekadasha Bhav, accepting the 11 items of your spiritual identity. Your spiritual identity begins with the stage of Nishtha when you're self-realized. You realize that you're spirit soul, you're not this body. Then, based on your mood, of which rasa you are attracted to hearing those pastimes, Sakya, Vatsalya or Madhurya. And the spiritual master confirms this, and it suits your spiritual identity, suits your mood, and with this identity you perform your bhajan. So this bhajan practice begins with the stage of Raganuga Bhakti, and slowly we go through these 5 stages: Shravana, Varana, Smaran, Apan, and Sampati. And especially the Smaran Dasha has 5 sub-stages. There is Smaran, Dharana, Dhyana, Anusmriti, and Samadhi. So we go through these 5 sub-stages of Smaran, where there is increased remembrance of Krishna. As Rup Goswami also in the Updesh Amrit says, Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu Smartyo Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya Tannama Rupadi Sukirtana. Anusmrita. Anusmrita means continuous remembrance. Kramena, step by step. So this Anusmrita Kramena is these 5 sub-stages of remembrance of Krishna. And how we attain the Sampati Dasha, the Bhava Pandasha. Apandasha or the Bhava Pandasha. And it's not that directly from Nishta we jump to Bhava, but we go through Ruchi and Asakti. And within Ruchi and Asakti are the stages of Varandasha and Smarandasha. And when Asakti is fully mature, then we have crossed these 5 sub-stages of Smaran, and we have attained what is called as Bhava Pandasha, the Bhava Pandasha. So I'll just share the screen so that you're clear about it. Yeah, the Smaran Dasha, you go through these 5 stages and you attain the Bhava Pandasha. And we elaborately discussed how Smaran is having 2 divisions in Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti and Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. And we as sadhakas, how we should try to remember Krishna while practicing Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, with the purification of a heart, it is natural and spontaneous. But in Vaidhi, we need to put in a lot of efforts because the mind is not pure. The mind is attracted to sense objects because of the unlimited impressions in the heart. And after explaining this perfection, the Bhava Pandasha, the Samadhi, then Bhaktivinoda Thakur goes on to summarize everything. So Bhava Pandasha, attainment, and what is the state at that time, and both the gross and subtle material connections are cut. And then he attains Siddhi. And all this is possible by practicing Ahetuki Apratihata, Ananya Bhakti. And we discussed yesterday quite in detail that we are not actually at the level of practicing Ananya Bhakti. We are doing some core activities of devotional service, like chanting 16 rounds, hearing Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. These are core Sakshat Bhakti, what we call. But other times we are engaged according to our nature, or we are, our thoughts are absorbed in some other subject. So we are not able to practice this Ahetuki Avyavayita. The bhakti should not be broken for one to come to the practice or the level of Ananya Bhakti. So we are trying to hear Krishna Katha and attain that faith where we completely surrender to Krishna, that Purna Shraddha or proud Shraddha, by which we completely take shelter of Krishna and then practice Ananya Bhakti. Then these stages are very swift. Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan, Kriya, Nivritti, Nishtha. These are very fast. We are right now practicing what is called as mixed devotional service. We are still not practicing pure devotional service. Of course, I don't know about others in the audience. Many might be practicing pure devotional service, but at least in my case, I'm clear. So then we take complete and attain the Shuddha Sattva stage. And I mentioned Shuddha Sattva stage is the stage of Asakti. And then we saw this section from 101 to 102, where now he summarizes. Before we are at the stage of Adho, where we associate with devotees, and we come to the stage of chanting non-stop. Then we come to the stage of Purna Shraddha and start chanting Bhajan Kriya. Because Madhyamadhikari means Nirantara Namaloy. He is always taking the holy name. And then Bhajan Kriya will begin, by which we will attain Siddhi. And we should be very, very careful about bad association. Yesterday we discussed this. And these are the three important principles if one wants to perfect his bhajan. Association of devotees, staying in the secluded place, and being determined. Now here association of devotees specifically refers to the devotees who are in same mood, who are expert in bhajan. Sajati Stigdha Satovarya. Sajati means of the same jati. Jati means again not here based on bodily designation, based on the mood. Snigdha, there is very thick, intimate friendship. And Swatovara, or either they are equal in their Krishna consciousness, or we should advance with those who are Rasikas, very advanced Mahabhagavats. So this kind of association helps us to intensify our bhajan. And we discussed yesterday what does it mean to be in a secluded place to chant. And then Tesham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvanda moha nirmukta bhajante mam drida vrata means we will be able to practice determinedly. Now, why we are not able to practice our bhajan with determination? What is the reason? Anyone? I have quoted the verse and given a hint, but I would like to know why we are not able to practice bhajan with determination. What is the reason? Anyone? Anyone would like to answer? What is the reason why we are not able to practice our bhajan with determination? Yes, Sunita Mataji.
We cannot stay at a secluded place.
Even if we are not able to stay in a secluded place, if we are determined, we can practice. That's not the reason. Yes, Vikram.
Determination also. Lack
Pardon?
of determination.
Why it is the lack of determination? That's my question.
Because of so many things around, it's difficult to be determined.
Yeah, I want a precise answer. Yeah, Vikram. I quoted just now.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes.
Actually, devotees are unable to associate with saintly devotees often, Prabhuji, due to
okay. That is okay. I've quoted the verse just now. Yes, Amal Bhakti Rani Mataji.
Because of bad association or
Oh, sorry. Yeah, tell me. Because of bad association. The reason why we are not able to practice this devotion service with determination is because Tesham tu antagatam papam. Antagatam papam has not happened. Our papa and punya of unlimited lifetimes, it is still not, these anarthas are not destroyed. And with bhajan kriya, when these anarthas, papa and punya are destroyed, then what happens? We practice devotion with determination. This happens at the stage of Nishtha. At the stage of Nishtha, all the papa and punya is destroyed. Practically, nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. So steady with determination to practice our bhajan will happen when our papa and punya are destroyed. That is what 7.28 is saying. Isham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvanda moha nirmukta bhajante mam drida vata. So this is the reason, and that's why we should engage seriously in bhajan so that we can with determination practice this. And then Haridas Thakur expresses his humility. So this is where we finished our discussion in yesterday's class. Now we will take up the last section, that is from verses 108 to 112. This is the last section of Sri Harinam Chintamani. And here after Haridas Thakur, out of ecstasy, falls down at the lotus feet of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraces him. Chitta Katha. He speaks the Chitta Katha. Yesterday we discussed about what is this Chitta Katha. So now the Lord gives a command. Prabhura Agyay. The Lord's command. So let us see now these verses. Shuno Haridas E Lila Samgopane Vishwa Andhakara Hari Beke Dushtajane. Lord Chaitanya said, listen, Shuno Haridas. In the future, wicked people will use these confidential pastimes to fill the world with the blinding darkness of ignorance. A Leela Sam Gha Upapane. It becomes Samghopane. Vishwandakar, this confidential discussion which I and you had, in the future, what will happen? Wicked people will use these confidential pastimes and put the whole world into darkness. And who are they? The Dushta Jana. Now, whom is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu referring here? Whom is he referring here? Who are these Dushta Janas who will take these confidential pastimes and put the whole world in darkness? Who are these? Whom is he referring here? Okay, Vikram has raised his hand. Anyone else? Who is, Birendra Yadav, Satyavrat Chaitanya. Okay, I will give chance to Satyavrat Chaitanya. Yes, Satyavrat Chaitanya Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, is it Mayavadis Prabhu? Mahaprabhu is referring? Mayavadi philosophy.
Mayavadis are not, they are not Vaishnavas who will
Then the Sahajiyas.
It is the Sahajiyas. These 13 upper sampradayas which sprang up in the 18th century. It is the Sahajiyas. Okay, there is a footnote, 44. Who are these wicked people trying to conceal the pure teachings Lord Chaitanya gave about the holy name in his Shashtaka? The Sahajiyas, Baulas, and the other preach various false and evil philosophies. Lord Chaitanya refers to them with these words. So Lord Chaitanya already predicted that in the future these upper sampradayas, Sati Beki, Gauranga Nagaris, all these Sahajiyas, they will take these confidential Radha Krishna's pastimes and make it very cheap. And then, in the name of Vaishnava, engage in all illicit, nonsensical activities, and the whole Vaishnava society, people seeing Vaishnavas, they'll shun Vaishnavism. So the pure philosophy of the Vaishnava teachings had become so degraded. It's only Bhaktivinoda Thakur who revived it by writing Sri Harinam Chintamani. So how much important is Sri Harinam Chintamani for us to regularly study? Then what does Mahaprabhu say? Sei kale tomara ei charama upadesh avashishta sadhu jane ujibe vishesh. But even at that time, some saintly persons will properly understand these final. Charama upadesh. Charam means the peak, the pinnacle, or the final. There will be some saintly persons in that time also who will understand your teachings, final teachings, what you have spoken. And it definitely refers to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because he understood the teachings of Mahaprabhu and presented in his works. There were also other great saintly Vaishnavas in the 18th century who were in Mayapur and Vrindavan executing their bhajan in the solitude. But it is Bhaktivinoda Thakur who actually cut down all these upper sampradayas and established the teachings of Mahaprabhu. Etattvanamashray. Okay, there is a footnote, sorry. The word final teachings means the instructions from which no other instruction is superior. The final instruction is that one should associate with devotees and chant holy name. So that final etam matam mama, as Krishna in the Gita says, no, that this is my opinion. So Krishna's opinion is the highest opinion. Like the Supreme Court, decision is the highest decision. So the highest discussion or the opinion is to sadhu sang and do bhajan kriya. Etattva namashraya nishkinchana jana nirjane basya Krishna karibe bhajana. Staying in a secluded place. Nirjane basya. Taking shelter of the holy name. Namashraya. Nishkinchana jana. The Lord and Lord Krishna is their only wealth. That is Nishkinchana. One who possesses his wealth as only Krishna. They will worship Lord Krishna. Nirjana basya Krishna karibe bhajan. So these saintly devotees, they will take shelter, they will have their only wealth as Krishna, and being in a secluded place, they'll worship Krishna. 4 things they will do. So if we want to become saintly, then we have to do these 4 things. Namashray, become Nishkinchana, and then do chanting in a secluded place. Yesterday I have given a very broad and specific understanding of what is a secluded place. And then we should do Krishna Bhajan. These 4 things we need. Okay, so there is a footnote here, 46. Now, 46 footnote, I will just only take 2 verses. The other verses are very intimate and very esoteric. So I'll not touch that, but just 2 verses I'll touch upon. Now, until one, considers Krishna as his only wealth and he doesn't possess anything, he just possesses Krishna. One who possesses Krishna doesn't possess anything. If somebody possesses something else in his heart, that means he doesn't possess Krishna. So this is a very, very exalted platform. So Namo Akinchana Vityaya Nivrita Gunavritaya Atma Rama Shantaya Kevala Pate Namaha. As Kunti Maharani also in the prayer says. Janmaisharya Shruta Shrivir Edamada Madapurma Naivartum Abhidhatum Vai Kim Akinchana Gochara. So the Akinchanas only, the Nishkinchana Janas only can possess Krishna and not anyone else. So this is a very, very exalted platform. Now there is a footnote. A devotee who thinks his only wealth is Lord Krishna and who is expert at tasting nectar will always taste the nectar of the holy names Hare Krishna with ecstatic love. So this is his stage. He is Nishkinchana. He has only his wealth as Krishna. He is able to take the holy names. The holy names are described in the words given below. Words that are a song in the 183rd part of the Parma Kalpataru, a part entitled Ardha Bhaya Dasha Paralapan. Ardha means semi-state of consciousness. We know that Mahaprabhu is to be in 3 levels of consciousness. External consciousness, where he is dealing with the devotees. He is to be in a semi-state of consciousness, where there is little awareness of the external consciousness and he's in internal consciousness. And then he's to go in deep internal consciousness where he's completely cut off. So these song is from the Parma Kalpataru of the Ardha Bhaya Dasha. Dasha means state. Pralapan. Pralapan means, words spoken, like Prajalpa. Words spoken while halfway in external consciousness. Suhaya Raga. I don't know how this Raga is. So I'll just recite the way, I can do. He Hare Madhura Gune, Madhurya Guna, He Hare Madhurya Gune, Hari Labhe Netramane, Mohana Murati, Darashaya, He Krishna Nandadam, Maha Akarshakatam Tuha Bina Dekite Napai. Oh sweet and glorious Krishna. Hey Hare is the Sambodhan. Madhura Gune. You have sweet, you are glorious. La Be Netramani. You have stolen my eyes and my heart. Mohana Murati Darshani. I always gaze at your charming form. Mohana Murti Darashiye. I gaze. Darashiye means to I gaze. O Krishna, hey Krishna, O abode of bliss, Ananda Dham, O most attractive one, Maha Akarshaka Dham. I can see no one but you. Tuha bina dekite na pai. So this is the state you can imagine when one possesses his only wealth of Krishna. Wherever he sees Krishna. Stavar deki, jangam deki, na deki tara murti. Sarvatra hoy ishtadeva spurti. This is the prema stage, very, very exalted stage. And, Krishna has stolen his heart and his eyes are always fixed on Krishna and is always relishing the beautiful form of Krishna. He Hare Dharama Hari Guru Bhaya Adikori Kulera Dharama Kaila Dhura. He Krishna Bamshira Sware Akarshiya Ani Bole Deha Geha Smriti Kaila Dhure. Piety, Dharam, chastity, fear of my elders. Hari, Guru Bhaya Adi Kori, and everything else. I have thrown far away. Kulera Dharma Kaila Dhura. Kula Dharma is given up, Dhura. Then what has happened? Attracted by the sound of your flute. Hey Krishna, Bamshira Sware Akarshya Ani Bole. I have forgotten my body and my home. Deha Geha Smriti Kaila Dure. So this state, who represent the state? Any examples you can give who gave up their family, gave up their Kula Dharma, gave up their Stri Dharma, attracted to the flute of Krishna? Who are they? Who are the devotees who exemplify this verse? Who are they? Anyone? Any idea? Who are they? Any other devotees? Yes, Reena Mataji. Yes.
Hare Krishna, actually is not yeah. Gopis, I'm just checking for gopis only.
Yes, it is the gopis of Vrindavan. Now, just to make the point clear, in an ideal Varnashram setup, the women ought to speak after sunset, they don't go out. But in the dead of the night, when Krishna played his flute, even though their family members were there, the wives were attending the husband or the children, or the wives were serving their father-in-law, mother-in-law. But hearing the flute, they got so much attracted that they ran towards the Vamshivata. But we should all remember these pastimes are very deep and confidential. And the gopis in their spiritual bodies went to associate with Krishna, and in another body they were there also present. This we should understand. So devotees who are practicing Krishna consciousness should follow all the Vaishnava etiquettes of family life. Morning, maybe the Matajis have to attend to their children, to attend to their husbands by doing the bhoga for the Lord. And there is also a class. There is Srimad Bhagavatam class. You are attracted to go and attend the class. But there is a conflict here. Which dharma I should do? And usually because of lack of maturity, we try to express spontaneity by, neglecting the basic dharma also to be followed. And there can be conflicts in the family. And that is why we should be very, very careful with lack of, maturity. We need to balance, our practice of Krishna consciousness with our duties as a wife, as a husband, as a parent, as a child. And this kind of cultural training is required, because we have taken Krishna consciousness without any good samskars, being born in a very pious dharmic family. Many must have born in those families where this Varnashram culture was there. So that is why the Varnashram culture has to be established, by which we can, be situated properly in this Varnashram and ultimately transcend and attain pure devotion to Krishna. So this is just an additional point I wanted to make. The other verses I will not be taking, because they explain very intimate Madhurya pastimes of Krishna. Okay, so we finished this verse. Now, text 111. Nija nija bhagya bole jiva paye bhakti, bhakti labhi bare sakalera nahi shakti. By the power of their good fortune, nija nija bhagya bole. Bole means strength. Some souls attain devotional service. Jiva paye bhakti. So here, bhakti here means what? Bhakti refers to what bhakti? Which bhakti is Bhaktivinoda Thakur referring to here? Anyone? What bhakti is? Which kind of bhakti? There are various bhaktis at different levels, at practice level and perfection level. Which bhakti is Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaking about here? Anyone would like to answer? Yes, Vikram Prabhuji.
Is it Kripa Bhakti, Prabhuji?
No. There are basically three types of bhakti which we know. So which bhakti is Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaking here about? Nobody gets kripa, don't worry. Kripa never, don't think about it. Everyone has to practice sadhana and attain siddhi. Yes, Virendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Guruji, Dandavat Pranam. Guruji, is it Bhakti Sukriti?
No. Now, please see this verse. By the power of their good fortune, some souls attain devotional service. Now, we are Brahmande Brahmite Kono Bhagyavanji. We have come to the path of bhakti. But real fortune is when we are now still practicing bhakti. We have not attained perfection in bhakti. When we attain Bhava Bhakti, then that is perfection. And in that Bhava Bhakti here refers to Bhava Bhakti. Because everyone, even he is a human being, Nar Matrasya Bhakti Adhikar. The qualification to practice bhakti is he should just be a human being. And just coming in touch with the association of devotees, he can take up to devotional service. So he has got bhakti. But after getting that bhakti, one has to do sadhana and attain siddhi. So when one gets siddhi, then he has attained devotion in that sense. So I hope it is clear. Not everyone has the power to attain devotional service. Bhakti labhira sakala nahi shakti. So that's why Bhava Bhakti is very rare. It is sudurlabha. It's very rarely attained because Krishna doesn't give so easily. And even if one practices sadhana, comes to the stage of asakti, it's not that one will attain bhava. Because after asakti, the next stage is bhava. Bhava is not attained by our own efforts. Bhava is bestowed by the Lord. So that is why not everyone can attain this Bhava Bhakti. So here it can definitely refer to Bhava Bhakti because everyone is practicing Bhakti now. It might not be pure devotional service. It is mixed with some direct core devotional activities. But by sadhana, going through the stages of bhajan kriya, anarth nivritti, nishta, ruchi, asakti, this is all in our hands. But Bhava Bhakti is not in our hands. It is bestowed by the Lord. That, not everyone has that power. Ultimately, the Lord, when He showers His mercy, He bestows Bhava. Sukriti janera bhakti drida karibare ailam yuga dharma namera prachara. To make pious persons become strong in devotional service, Sukritira jana bhakti drida karibe, I have come to this Kali Yuga and taught the chanting of the holy name. Ailama means I have come. Yuga dharma nama prachare. So basically, Mahaprabhu is saying that we have to come to the level of piety, come to the mode of goodness. That is why if we follow these 4 regulative principles and we become determined in devotional service, then our real bhajan starts. And that's why Mahaprabhu has come to teach the holy names. There is a footnote. Here someone may say the individual souls attain devotional service only by the power of their pious deeds. Why then should anyone preach to others? So this is the argument, but bhakti cannot be attained by karma, some pious deeds, because bhakti is completely the Sarup Shakti of the Lord. Bhakti is independent of karma and jnana. But being pious acts as a platform by which we can be receptive to take up to bhakti. Just like being in the mode of goodness helps us to come to the mode of pure goodness. Coming to the airport helps us to take off the flight, or going to the helipad helps us to board the helipad. So like that, we should understand it. Okay, now text 113, 14. This is the same continuation of that bhajan we are singing, which I'm not going to discuss. And 15. So few more verses are there. Let me discuss them. Now this last section, 113 to 115. Haridas Thakur Nama Pracharera Sahaya. Haridas Thakur helps the Lord in preaching the holy name. Tumita Sahaya Mora Ei Karya Sadhane Tava Mukhe Nama Tattva Shuni Ekarane. You help me in completing my mission. Karya Sahaya. Sahaya Mora E Karya. That is why I have heard from your mouth the truth of the holy name. Tava Mukha Tattva Shuni Ekarana. That's why I have heard this Tattva from your mouth. Harinama Chintamani Akhila Amrita Khani Krishna Kripa Bole Ei Paila Vritartha Se Mahashay Sada Purnanandamay Raga Bhave Shri Krishna Bhajila. By the power of Lord Krishna's mercy, Krishna Kripa Bale Ei Paila, one attains the Chintamani jewel of the holy name. Harinama Chintamani Akhila Amrita Khani. And what is this Chintamani? A jewel that comes from the ocean of nectar. It is a jewel which comes from the ocean of nectar. So by churning our heart with this holy name, we can, produce this jewel called Sri Harinam Chintamani. And what is the highest benediction this Harinam Chintamani will give? It will give the jewel of Krishna Prem. A person who finds that jewel becomes saintly. His every desire is fulfilled. His life is a success. He is always filled with bliss. Sada Purnanandamaya. With ecstatic love, he worships Sri Krishna. Raga Bhave Sri Krishna Vajrila. Text 115. This is the last text. Tahara charana dhari sada e kakuti kari khande e akincana char e amrita rasalesha piyaya avashesha karasara ananda vistara. Taking hold of his fate, Tahara charanadhari, this person worthless like a pile of ashes. Sada e kakuti kari. Kande e akinchana char. Char means ash. Again and again speaks prayers filled with emotion. Kande e akinchana char. This person says to him, please give me a drop of nectar. E amrit rasalesh piyaya avashesh of the holy name and fill me with bliss. Kara sara ananda vistar. Iti Shri Harinama Chintamano Bhajana Pranali Pradarshanam Nama Panchadasha Parichedaha. Thus ends the Shri Harinam Chintamani chapter 15 called the Bhajana Pranali. So that's how we complete our Shri Harinam Chintamani chapter 15. So we started with Shri Harinam Chintamani from the first verse by verse discussion we had. We began with how these 15 chapters, there is Sambandha, Abhidheya and Prayojan. The first 3 chapters speak with Sambandha, Sambandha Gyan, Nama Tattva is given. Then the Abhidheya, that is how we chant without committing these 10 offenses. So chapter 4 to chapter, I think 13. Yeah, chapter 13. So we discussed the Abhidheya to avoid the 10 offenses. And then chapter 14 and 15 is the Prayojan. So we discussed the Seva Aparadh, and then we discussed the Bhajan Pranali. Chapter 12 was very important, and we went into quite elaborate discussion on the verses, some concepts in the PPP, and then we went into elaborate points, additional points in the slides from various comments from our current present acharyas. So like that, chapter 12, we quite elaborately discussed. And among all the chapters in Sri Harinam Chintamani, the first 3 chapters are most important because it is Sambandh Gyan, and especially chapter 3, Namabhas Tattva should be understood, and chapter 12. So repeatedly, we should regularly study Sri Harinam Chintamani and perform our bhajan so that we can ultimately attain that wealth which Mahaprabhu has come to give us. So I'll stop here. Any questions, any clarification anyone has can raise their hands. Any questions, any clarifications? Yes, Birendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandatna.
Yes.
Prabhuji, this last footnote 47, last line, it is mentioned that truth is that chanting of the holy name is the only eternal religion for all souls in every age.
Yes.
It refers to all the yuga.
Yes, it refers to all the yugas because in every yuga, Nama Taraka, the deliverer is the name, but because in Satyuga, easily people can meditate Ashtanga Yoga. So they practice Ashtanga Yoga, but with the chanting of the name. That's why Dhruva Maharaj, he was preached by Narad Muni. And what did Narad Muni give the mantra? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. But you're also practicing Ashtanga Yoga. That Ashtanga Yoga is devotional Ashtanga Yoga because that was possible at that age. In the Treta Yoga, there is, Krita Dhyayato Vishnu. It is, Krita Dhyayato Vishnu. And then Tretayam Yajato Makhai. There is sacrifice. So within the sacrifice, yagyas, huge yagyas were performed, but there is also chanting of the holy name. And in Dwapar Yoga, it is Parichaya. There's worship. Again, there is chanting of the holy names. In Kali Yoga, we cannot practice extreme austerities, tapasya, what people used to perform for 50,000, 60,000 years, or we cannot do huge sacrifices. The Yagya Kunda used to be, maybe you can't even imagine how big is the Yagya Kunda. It's like a cricket stadium. That's big the Yagya Kunda used to be there. And today we have small 1 feet by 1 feet Yagya Kunda. So then there is Archana. Archana is, very elaborate. Prabhupada said, if, I tell you all the cleanliness procedure for Archanam, then you'll faint. So how elaborate is the Archana process? Nobody can practice in Kali Yuga. People don't even take 3 times bath a day, what to speak. So the only way of purification is chanting of the holy name. And now we also see in our chanting of the holy name, we are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It includes meditation because we are absorbing ourselves in meditating on the Lord's name and form, quality and pastimes. It includes sacrifice. Yagyanam Japa Yagyosmi. The topmost yagya is Japa Yagya. And then it is the highest form of worship. So like that, for every yuga, there is a Nama Taraka mantra. And for Kali Yuga, this is the mantra which is mentioned in the Kali Santarana Upanishads. Any other clarifications anyone has? Okay, fine then. So we will stop here. Shri Harinam Chintamani ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhaktivinoda